Why now? Welcome to Fitz's Electric Bar. This is my segment called What's in My Pile, and records that are sitting in front of my stereo and getting a lot of spins. That pile is getting quite huge. I'm actually sitting down now and going through my CDs and my vinyl and starting to reorganize and figure out what I need to get rid of and basically put things in a better order so I have more accessibility to the stuff I like to listen to. But in essence, this is what's in my pile. This is the stuff that's at the front of my stereo that tends to be the first stuff that I go to that I listen to quite a bit. I just recently picked up this M. Ward record. I'd had been streaming it for a while. Big fan of M. Ward. Some will know him as part of the duo She and Him, that California sound. His sound to me is very, very warm, and I love the guitar sound. And this particular record I really love. It's a very understated record. It's not maybe for everybody. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Ray LaMontagne, but maybe a little more, what's the word? A little bit less of a heart on his sleeve and a little bit kind of a more detached, cool quality to him. But off of this record, highly recommend the song Slow Driving Man. It's a great song. It's really kind of spooky, talking about somebody in a car accident, I believe, passing away. That's a really good tune. And Pirate Dial's a really nice song. Again, very understated, great production, and super warm. It's funny, I sort of talk about him being a little bit cooler, but the sound itself is quite warm, just maybe a little more emotionally detached in his delivery. M. Ward. Another record that I've had for a little while. It was a Record Store Day purchase. I got this on Discogs well after Record Store Day. Lou Reed. This is a recording from Alice Tully Hall, and in New York City. There's a famous poster which I'll drop in as well into this that I've had for a while. But this was the tour right after Transformer, and I believe from the liner notes, this is the first tour that Lou Reed did post Velvet Underground as a solo artist. The band is not necessarily a top-notch band, fairly kind of straight-ahead rock and roll band, not necessarily premium chops, but it's great hearing a lot of the stuff from Transformer on this record. They start off with White Light, White Heat, of course, the great Velvet Underground song does I'm Waiting for the Man. But the version, let's say, of Wagon Wheel off of Transformer, which has never been really one of my favorite songs, it's quite nice on this record. And he plays other songs off of Transformer, including Vicious, Satellite of Love, I'm So Free, and of course, Walk on the Wild Side. It does Velvet Underground as well, doing I'm Waiting for My Man, Rock and Roll, Sister Ray, and New Age. Anyways, Lou Reed, this is January 27th, 1973. This is a nice record. Comes in limited edition mauve vinyl. Another record that I bought not long ago. What I'm trying to do now is to buy less and listen more to the stuff that I've already got. I've talked before about, the idea of wanting stuff in my collection and sometimes being very acquisitional and then not taking the time to really listen, just thinking it's in my collection so I can listen to it when I'm in the mood. But I've been going through for the last year or two, English sort of folk rock, I suppose. So Bert Jansch, Pentangle have been sort of recent obsessions of mine. Although it's not English folk, I guess, but John Fahey, a little bit getting into that. Find that a little more challenging, but a good challenge and pays some good dividends. Fairport Convention, Richard Thompson, Sandy Dennis, and this is considered to be one of their kind of benchmark records. It's got Matty Groves on it, which is a great kind of wild tune. This is really nice. I've been really enjoying this. It's taken me a little while to really get into it because it does have a very kind of more authentic English folk stuff with fiddle and things like that, which isn't necessarily my first area of interest, but this is a really nice record. Very different than, the Unbricking and or at least the sound of Where Does the Time Go, which is so sort of melancholic and beautiful. This has got a little bit more get up and go, and really, really good. Really enjoy it. Todd from Lost Mixtapes, when we had our conversation recently, he reminded me of this Low record. Hey, what? Last studio record of, it's a great cover, right? But actually it is a pretty cool cover than the inside. It's got a certain amount of challenge to it. It's very different from the kind of slowcore records that they released that I was more familiar with, Things We Lost in the Fire and that kind of stuff. But knowing that this record was was recorded during the time of Mimi's illness, and knowing that, and the sort of the discordant and noisy aspects to it, somehow works really, really well. Todd referred to this as being almost glacial when you listen to it, and I get that. It's like it's moving along slowly, but extremely powerfully. It's got an inertia to it. And honestly, for my money, Ellen Sparhawk and Mimi Parker, the way that when they sing together, it is absolutely magical. They're just beautiful vocals together, and really missed the opportunity to be able to hear new music with Mimi Parker on. But there's the song Disappearing is just tremendous. All Night as well. There's stuff that they're doing in terms of production that is just magical, creating almost string-like effects with the vocals. And the use of the noise is, at first it feels, I don't know how to describe it. It just feels like it sort of gets your back up, or it gets my back up. And with repeated listens, it's starting to make sense somehow and fit together really beautifully. And I think the fact that this was when they knew that Mimi was sick, maybe they knew she was dying, I don't know. But there's something about that context that makes the music that they made on this record all the more powerful. But most importantly, it's a record that I'm really enjoying listening to now. You can intellectualize it in terms of why something is interesting, but if you don't really want to play it, then it's kind of like, what's the point, right? And it's just an intellectual exercise. Another band that I really like, I have two of their records, and it is the Rachels, or just Rachels. This is a really neat package. You can kind of see the lettering there. This has got a nice little emboss to it. It actually opens like this. And it's a double LP. This one is The Sea and the Bells, and quite a substantial lineup of musicians. I think the core members, Edward Grimes, Rachel Grimes, not sure who exactly, but I know that they've been with the band for a while. This is really, really nice. They've just reissued these in the last year. And I've had I had Egon Schiele and Music for Egon Schiele, I believe he's an Austrian painter, as well as handwriting. It's kind of like chamber music. It's a bit like, reminds me a little bit like Kronos Quartet and some of their music. It's not like just sweet chamber music. It's definitely got some dynamic swells and ranges and power to it, and it's very, very interesting. So give that a listen. I'm going to jump to something which I think is actually kind of adjacent, or something that is could be talked about in the same breath as Rachel's, and that is a piano player. I think he's Polish, and his name is Sławek Jaskulke. His stuff is hard to find. Coreport. I first heard him, he reminds me a lot of Keith Jarrett circa the Colton Concert. Lots of the atmosphere of the room, the ambience, the space in his playing, It's really, really beautiful. You can find some of this stuff on the streaming platforms. It's, again, not easy to get, I don't think. And I don't think anything's on record that I'm familiar with. But the first time I heard him was at Bar Music in Tokyo, at that great listening room that I love to go to in Shibuya. And the first record I heard was this particular one, which is Senne, S-E-N-N-E. So just a blue cover. And it's possible that this was put out by Bar Music, who have their own label. They had previously, I had mentioned that they put out a record by Terry Collier, one of his last ones called Tokyo Moon. But it was where I first heard this. And Bar Music often plays very ambient, quiet music. It's got a great atmosphere in this bar. DJ Calm does some spinning there at times as well. But this was the first one I got. Really enjoy this record. The second one I got is called Moments. The track Moments, so, you know, in the spirit of trying to see if this is something you might like, I would recommend, if you're on the streaming services, I believe this particular record, Moments, is available. And the track Moments, which is the eighth track on this particular one, will give you an idea about what it sounds like. Something that I love to put on first thing in the morning. It just creates a lot of space, a lot of atmosphere, and quite beautiful. And then the third one I got last time I was back there at Bar Music, I picked up, which is called C. And so Slavik Jilskulke, I apologize, the pronunciation I'm sure is butchered, but a little bit Keith Jarrett circa Cold Concert, if that turns your crank. All this Bob Dylan talk, and I've been going through my collections, as many have. I see many people playing Dylan stuff, and one that I have on CD that I really wanted to own on vinyl, and I just picked up and got in Discogs, is the I'm Not There soundtrack. So this is the Todd Haynes film. I think there's like 8 versions of different people playing different stages of Dylan's career, including Cate Blanchett, who was in during the Electric time, right around the Newport Folk Festival, going electric. This is just a fabulous, fabulous record. You know, when you've got 4 LPs, there is definitely, you know, a mixed bag, right, in terms of stuff that you might like or that you might not really turn your crank. But there is a band that plays on a lot of the songs on this, and they call themselves, I think, the $1 Million Bashers. Is that what they're called? Yeah, the $1 Million Bashers. And they include Steve Shelley on drums, Tony Garnier on bass, who's great, John Medeski on the Hammond organ, and Tom Verlaine on guitar. So they play with Stephen Malkmus. They play with quite a few of the artists in here. So it's very cool hearing, you know, like, oh, that's Tom Verlaine on guitar on some of these tracks. But this is the album sleeves from this. Again, a 4 LP set. You can, I think, find this on the streaming platforms. And I'll tell you what really does it for me. There's a lot of stuff. I'm Not There, the Sonic Youth cover of I'm Not There, which of course is the title of the album. And on this particular record, the only Dylan performance is I'm Not There, which is also the last track on this particular one. Another good one, Going Down to Acapulco, Jim James from My Morning Jacket with Calexico is awesome. All on the Watchtower, it's Eddie Vedder and the $1 Million Bashers. It's done very much like the, version that Jimi Hendrix made famous, but it is very good. Eddie Vedder does a good scream in it. Other ones that I love, the Pressing On, which is off of the album Saved during the gospel years. Cat Power doing quite an upbeat, jaunty version of Stuck Inside a Mobile, the Memphis Blues again. This all preceded the Cat Power live at the Royal Albert Hall that she just released. Other ones that really grabbed me on this, Senor, Willie Nelson and Calexico doing Senor. Can You Please Call Out Your Window by the Hold Steady, which is really good. Also John Doe doing I Dreamed I Saw St. Augustine, along with Pressing On, very much the sort of the gospel style. Anthony and the Johnsons, before becoming Anoni, is great. Also Knocking on Heaven's Door is a very understated and quiet version of that. So for those of you that are hungry for some Dylan stuff in the post-complete unknown world, it's a good one. And again, you can stream that as well. Another one that just got re-released, I was very happy to pick up, is this Yo La Tengo compilation, Genius Plus Love equals Yo La Tengo. Lots of B-sides and flexi disc releases and unreleased things. I've always really enjoyed, for me, Yo La Tengo, their B-sides are often as exciting as their stuff that's released commercially and on their records. So getting this, there's some things that are maybe a little over the top, and you got to sift through it, but this is great. Available again for the first time in 20 years is what the sticker says. Genius Plus Love equals Yo La Tengo. Talked about this on a post recently celebrating MGK's push to 1 trillion subscribers, but Donald Byrd, Kofi. I did not know this record, and this is one that it's just I'm just finding myself playing over and over and over again. I love the production in this. I guess it's got a bop feel to it, but it's also feels like it's moving towards modal. It's really, really good. And just one that I just find has got such a great groove to it, eminently listenable, and play it over and over and over again. Donald Byrd, Kofi, and it's available. It's a tone poet that's available as well. Recently, I posted something about Terry Collier, and subsequently David Atkinson, Life Matters, had talked about this record and said that it was one that he really loved. And so I went out and found this as well, music on vinyl. Terry Collier, and the track of the album is Timepiece. The song Lazarus Man, if you get a chance, listen to that. It is also beautifully produced. It's got this deep, deep bass rumble that I love that goes through it. It reminds me of the bass sound of Jaco Pastorius in Cotton Avenue on Joni Mitchell's Don Juan's Reckless Daughter. I mean, the song is very different. Terry Collier is a very unique guy. He really is a hybrid of folk and rock and soul and spiritual. Really a wonderful guy, and a great record. I really like this record, Timepiece. Periodically, I go through a big Lloyd Cole phase, and I have a boxed set CDs of the New York sessions, which includes, I think, 4 of his released albums that he wrote and or recorded when he was in New York, plus some outtakes. And I want to get some of these on vinyl. This is really maybe my favorite one of Lloyd Cole's solo works. Of course, Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, but I really enjoy listening to his solo work nowadays more than Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. It really resonates for me. Robert Quine plays the guitar on this record, and his guitar work is so sublime. I just love his guitar work. Love this record. Don't Look Back, A Long Way Down. There's so many great songs on this record, and highly recommend it. So got this off of Discogs recently, nice to get. And one more that I picked up recently, Chico Freeman. It was one that I think came up on the algorithms for me. He is, I think, a little more experimental than normally I grasp onto in terms of jazz. I've often confessed that I'm not a free jazz guy, or some of the stuff that's a little more challenging, I just don't find that it really resonates for me. But this one is from what I had read, and I'd heard quite a bit on the streaming services, Spirit Sensitive. This is a more mainstream record for Chico Freeman. So he of the tenor saxophone, Billy Hart, John Hicks on piano, Cecil McBee on bass, and Famoudou Domoy on drums. Very nice record. Nice, kind of cocktail afternoon listening, not to sound reductive, and I've talked about this recently, but this is one that I just can't get off my turntable. John Cale's Paris 1919. John Cale is somebody that I have mixed feelings about. Sometimes I find his music to be just a little too in your face and a little bit too challenging. It sounds weird to say it's too challenging, but it's just that if you find that it kind of makes you feel angsty and whatever. I know that art should be challenging, but there are times when you just feel like I just don't really want to be listening to something that is just kind of making me feel angsty. This is not that. This is some just gorgeous music on here. Child's Christmas in Wales, Andalusia, which is beautiful. Lots of great stuff on here. And so I highly recommend this. It's a 2 LP set that came out on Domino Records just last year. And for those of you who are intrigued by John Cale and want to find a way in and not sure what it might be, this is one good place to start, I think. And that's it. That's what's in my pile. Carpe diem, MFs.